Update 3. Hey, everyone. It's been about 3 weeks since my original post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to give you all an update on the situation with Lauren and her pregnancy claim. First off, I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your advice and perspectives really helped me gain some clarity on the situation. Many of you suggested that I should stand my ground and insist on proof, while others pointed out that I needed to be prepared for the possibility that Lauren might actually be pregnant. After a few days of radio silence following our confrontation, Lauren reached out to me via text. She apologized for her outburst and said she understood why I might have doubts. She agreed to provide medical proof of the pregnancy and to take a paternity test once it was safe to do so. I was relieved that she seemed to be taking a more rational approach, but I was still worried. We agreed to meet at a local coffee shop to talk things through. I suggested a public place to avoid any potential drama and to keep things civil. When we met, Lauren looked different from when she had shown up at my door. She seemed calmer, more collected. She handed me an envelope containing ultrasound images and a doctor's report confirming her pregnancy. According to the documents, she was indeed about 10 weeks pregnant, which aligned with the timeline she had given me earlier. Seeing those ultrasound images, I can't even describe the mix of emotions. I felt this was really happening. Or at least it seemed to be. We talked for hours. Lauren explained that she had found out about the pregnancy just a week before she came to my place. She said she was scared and didn't know how to tell me, especially given how things had ended between us. She admitted that her approach, showing up unannounced and making demands, was wrong, and she apologized for it. I listened to her and tried to keep an open mind. I explained my perspective too. How her past behavior had made it difficult for me to trust her words alone, and how shocked and unprepared I felt when she dropped this news on me. We discussed our options. Lauren said she wanted to keep the baby, but she understood if I wasn't ready to be a father. She said she wouldn't force me into anything, but she hoped I would be involved in the child's life. I told her I needed time to process everything. The paternity test was still on the table and she agreed to it. We decided to wait until it was safe to perform the non-invasive prenatal paternity test, which can be done after the 7th week of pregnancy, but decided that 12th week would be the safest. After a meeting, I felt a bit better about the situation, but I was still overwhelmed. I decided it was time to tell my family and close friends about what was going on. I started with my parents. To say they were shocked would be an understatement. My mom was torn between excitement at the prospect of being a grandmother and concern about the circumstances. My dad was more skeptical, reminding me of how volatile my relationship with Lauren had been. They both supported my decision to get a paternity test and urged me to be cautious, telling my best friend John was next. He was surprised but supportive. He offered to be there for me throughout the process, whatever I decided to do. He also suggested I might want to consider talking to a lawyer to understand my rights and responsibilities just in case. Over the next couple of weeks, Lauren and I stayed in touch via text. She kept me updated on her doctor's appointments and how she was feeling. It was strange navigating this new dynamic with someone I had such a complicated history with. Then, about a week ago, things took an unexpected turn. Lauren called me, sounding panicked. She said she had started bleeding and was on her way to the hospital. Without thinking, I rushed to meet her there. The next few hours were a blur of tests, worried, waiting, and tense conversations with doctors. Finally, we got the news. Lauren had suffered a miscarriage. The doctor explained that it was unfortunately common in early pregnancies and that it wasn't anyone's fault. I was stunned. I hadn't even fully processed the idea of becoming a father, and now it was over. Lauren was devastated. Despite our past issues, seeing her in so much pain was heartbreaking. I stayed with her at the hospital until she was discharged. On the drive back to her place, we barely spoke. Once at her apartment, Lauren broke down. She apologized again for how she handled everything, saying she had been scared and didn't know what to do. She admitted that her past behavior, the jealousy, the accusations, had been wrong, and losing the baby had made her realize how much she had messed things up between us. I listened to her, feeling a complex mix of emotions. Part of me was sad about the loss of a potential child, even though I had been unsure about becoming a father. Another part felt relief, which then made me feel guilty. And there was still a small voice in the back of my mind, wondering if this whole thing had been real. I asked Lauren if she had told anyone else about the pregnancy. She said no, that she had been waiting to get past the first trimester before telling her family and friends. So now only my parents, John and I, knew about the whole situation. We talked for hours that night about the pregnancy, about our failed relationship, about where we go from here. Lauren said she was going to start therapy to work on her trust issues and jealousy. She didn't ask to get back together or try to manipulate the situation, which I appreciated. I told her I needed some time and space to process everything that had happened. She understood and agreed that it was probably for the best if we didn't see each other for a while. As I left her apartment that night, I felt drained but also somewhat relieved. The roller coaster of emotions over the past few weeks had been exhausting. Now, a week later, I'm still trying to make sense of everything that happened. I've been seeing a therapist to help me work through my feelings about the whole situation. It's been helpful to have a neutral party to talk to. I've also been doing a lot of thinking about my relationship with Lauren and my own behavior. While I still believe I was right to ask for proof of the pregnancy, I've realized that there were times in our relationship where I could have communicated better or been more understanding of her insecurities.